Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Rakhi Gautam from greytHR, the moderator for the session today. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us. And I'm sure you are all very excited for the session that we are going to have. So, as you all know, the topic for today is revolutionizing the employee journey with HR technology. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how the session goes. Most of you already know the drill. So, the first part is the session is divided in two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our expert, which will then be followed by an audience Q&A. So audience Q&A is where time is all yours, dear attendees. You can start putting across your questions in the Q&A option that is there available on your screen. And we will be taking your questions towards the end. Also, I've seen, I see some of you have raised your hand. So if you have any questions, you can just put it right now on the Q&A option. Also, this session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We've got you covered. This session's recording will be available on greytHR's official YouTube channel under the playlist Parichay. So you can always go there and watch it. Also, we will be sharing a thank you mailer with all of you with this session's recording. So we'll make sure that you don't miss out on it. Okay, I think we already have the quorum to start the session. So, in today's competitive landscape, a seamless employee journey is key to attracting, engaging, and retaining top talent. In this session today, we will be exploring how HR technology is transforming every stage of the employee life cycle. We'll be discussing automating onboarding for quicker integration, leveraging continuous feedback to enhance our communication, and empowering employees with self service tools for managing data, benefits, and performance. We will also discover how personalized growth plans and transparent performance tracking drive development and motivation. So this session will, equip you with actionable insights on creating a tech-enabled, engaging workplace that fosters productivity and retention from day one. And to decode all of that and to share her insights with us, we are thrilled to have Miss Bharathi R CEO at SBS HR. Let me quickly take you all through her profile. Ms. Bharti is the Chief Executive Officer of SBS HR, bringing over a decade of expertise in payroll and HR transformation, shared service setup, and HR process re-engineering across more than 60 countries. She has collaborated with clients from diverse industries, including pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, IT, and consulting. So we are very excited to host you here today, Bharti. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot, Raki. That was a nice introduction. Thank you.
Let's start with the first question. So, since we are talking about seamless employee journey, and we talk about employee journey, right? So, specifically in today's competitive landscape, how would you define a seamless employee journey, and why is it so critical for attracting and retaining top talent?
Okay. So, see, when the whole thing is a seamless employee journey, right? So, when we look at a seamless employee journey, I think that is something that HRs work day in and day out in various companies, countries, everywhere. HRs and the top management, really work towards helping employees have a seamless employee journey. So even if you say the strategic meetings that we take, what happens is when we HR have a strategic meeting, there's a lot of time that we spend in terms of understanding how we can make employees' journey seamless. How can we, help them have this place to be a better place to work? What can we do to make them to work, make the organization one of the best organizations for them to work? So seamless employee journey is like something that has been there from the very beginning, and all the HRs are working towards that. The As years go by, everything there are a lot of changes that happen in the world, and in the last decade or more. Technology, the amount it has boomed. I think, like, HRs have started focusing on seeing how HR technology can help in this entire change. So when an employee joins in, they would like to have like a high tech company. So when they look at high tech, it's just not about their laptops or the phones or the accessory technologies that they're looking at. They also would like to, like, when they log in into the HR technology, they have to feel it more high technology. So they feel like, they're working for some, it's more convenient, it's more supportive, it's more sophisticated. So you give a better focus on how the experience is. And it's just not about the experience, it's not about how it looks. It's also about how the entire data is set together, how the upgrades are happening, how things change in the organization from one year to another year. But it should not feel like as if the change is like, it is a big change that is, it's taken a lot of time and effort. Rather, it should feel very seamless. So HRs work towards every day towards this, and this coming years, and I think in the upcoming years as well as the past years, the most important work that HRs have been focusing on is making technology work with processes and processes working with HR technology. So we set up expectation with, like, different generations, different behavioral requirements, different cultures. So we work like the multinational companies work together. They don't feel that they have been, there's differences between each country, or even culturally we adapt the technology to how that particular culture requires to work. So when we're looking at a seamless journey, I think, like, the HR technology is something that adds a lot of support. And how HRs also uh, train their employees, support their employees, and work for their employees to see how the journey is better.
Thank you so much for setting the context, Bharti, with that response. And one key takeaway from this response for me would be integration of people, processes, and technology. When we talk about providing a seamless employee experience, it's very important that everything is integrated, right? And they don't feel the change even when the change happens. That's how seamless the change has to be. And since the day one, right, employee journey starts from the first call that the talent acquisition team makes to the candidate, and then when they leave the company. So thank you so
Correct.
much for sharing the context and setting the context with us. Now my second question is related to onboarding, because we are going to sort of break down into these different employee life cycle moments that we have, right? But before I do that, I also want to understand from our audience here today. So there's a poll question that I will launch now, and I would urge each of you, our participants, to engage with this poll and understand your perspective, your pain points, and that would also help us tailor our conversation today. So I'm going to launch the poll now. I hope the poll is visible on your screen. The question is, what is the biggest challenge your organization faces during onboarding? There are these four options: lack of structured processes, limited access to digital tools, delayed team integrations, or inadequate training resources. I see only one of you have participated till now. I would urge each one of you to participate in this and tell us. This is not a right or a wrong question. This is just to understand your perspective and the challenges that you as an organization have been facing with onboarding. Okay. I hope the poll not visible to everybody? Okay, poll disappeared. Let me quickly launch it again. Okay, here you go. I have relaunched the poll. If you could just quickly, yes, thank you so much. That's what, I felt our participants always are very quick with polls. What happened today? Might be my internet. Okay. 30% of you have already voted. I would urge the rest of you to also participate. Okay, we'll give it another 20 seconds. The rest of you who haven't selected, please select your response. Okay, another 10 seconds to go, and then we'll end the poll and result will be shared with all of you. Okay, I'll end the poll now and share results. Let's see. So 40% of you are saying lack of structured processes, 23% says delayed team integrations, 21% limited access to digital tools, and 17% inadequate training resources. So it's like a mix, right? And it also shows how critical each of these points are to provide a seamless onboarding experience. And lack of structured processes is something that we did touch upon in our previous question, which was integrating people, processes, and culture. So I think that is something that we should be focusing upon. Okay, let me quickly come to the question now, and thank you everybody for participating. So now my question to you would be, of course, we did see that these are the common challenges, and so we know that these are the common challenges, right? So in your opinion, or if you could share some strategies, suggestions, recommendations with us on how HR tech can, mitigate through this, like how HR tech can help us solve these challenges.
Yes. See, one thing that I think like it's more important about how HRs look about the employee's journey and the onboarding process. So, employees are going to spend like most of their awake hours in office or in the work timings, right? So, the first thing is basically when they join in, you make them feel like it's home. It's going to be new environment. Everything is going to be new for them. They've come from a different organization. The culturally it's going to be a drift. New people altogether, it's going to be new people. Might be they refer, they know few people, but there's going to be it's completely a new, right? And technology is already there. HR technology has already been in place and it's already available. Most of the companies have already taken up HR technologies. They've set it up at their at different levels. And I think like when HR looks at the technology, the process is already well defined in the technology. There are steps that is required to be followed for an HR process for it to function. So it's most important for HR to understand how the technology works and what is working in the technology and how it is functioning, what are the critical steps, and frame processes around the HR technology. So it's important, like it clearly shows in the poll answers. And this is something that, when I interact with a lot of customers, when we go into understanding their processes and what's their difficulty, we see the process is available and there's a technology available, but they both don't handshake at a lot of aspects. There are items that, oh, you have to enter the data in the technology, but then how do you make it in a flow that the employee handles the technology, employee uses the technology as the start point, rather than that is like the just to do a purpose for it's not like something that is getting within the process. It's something like a subsidiary process. Just fill the technology, make sure the data is up to date. That's not the kind of feel that we have to give. So when we upgrade the technology, when we are up to date with technology in and the actual in with the implementations, I think when you look at the HR processes, it's important for HR to re-engineer their processes, to use technology in multiple steps and work around using the HR technology. That's like something very critical. Then it makes it more easier for them. So when employee comes in the first week, if you see, they are going to be having a lot of time. It's kind of like a honeymoon phase, or it's a very light phase for them. They come in, the employees, their colleagues are working, they're already on the core business they're working in. So they have a lot of time to actually navigate through the technologies, go through the learning modules, allow them to have data on the allow them to have data on the learning modules, allow them to be trained by themselves. They don't need to sometimes ask every time saying, hey, where should I go for an approval? What is happening over here? What's the process over here? What do you follow? So allow them to have the ability to have the data and the technology, and tell them saying that you go to this module, the learning module, all these courses are there, enroll yourself and start looking at them. You'll get all the information. So put the technology, HR technology, a part of their on-the-job training, and make it a part of their day-to-day work. Don't put it as a side process or keep it out of the business process. So it's important re-engineering the process into a single a method. So technology with the process has to be together. So that's something that helps you to work towards the challenges that you face in onboarding.
Sure. Thank you so much for sharing that, Bharti. Now, we talked about onboarding, right? Once, and we are, we have to give them an awesome onboarding experience, because that's like your first day at school, first week, at school. You make friends, you don't make friends, somebody scolds you, So it's like it shapes how you are going to, be in that school or in that organization ahead, right? So it's, of course, it's important that we integrate technology with processes and makes it a part of their everyday life. It shouldn't be like a substitute that you said, or an additional thing that's coming into the picture. Even if you're not from an IT background, and if you're just, say, if you're a marketing professional or a sales professional, it shouldn't be that, okay, because IT or engineering or technology is not my background, I shouldn't be working on technology at all. So thank you, for that, and how HR tech plays a crucial role in providing a better employee onboarding experience. Now we talked about onboarding experience, but once they are onboarded and we try to give the best experience to them, it also comes to once they are in the organization for, say, 3 months, 4 months now, we have to know how they've been feeling, or what has been their performance like, or if they're liking the culture of the company or not. So continuous feedback, of course, plays a key role there, right? So in your opinion, how can HR technology foster continuous feedback and transparent communication across teams? So if that is something that you can share with us.
Right. So, see, it's performance and the feedback, right? That's the most important part of every employee. At whatever level the employees are, whether it's a junior level or is at a management level, they kind of need to know that they're doing good, or they need some improvisation. Or even if they're doing good, they need to be recognized. I mean, they feel like, just tell me that I'm doing good, I'll feel better. So that's something that every employee looks forward for. There are a lot of times where you see employees, if they work, there are people that would have tried to do their business, but they, for some reason, they just left it, and they could have come into, again, a corporate world, a kind of world that they're working in an MNC. So the most important thing that they look upon is basically like, a feedback. Tell me that I'm doing good. It's very important for them. Now, and the transparency also is very important. So now how managers are supposed to be giving it is how do we enable managers to do that? It's not that managers do not have an opinion or they do not know how to give it. All of them know. They have their opinion. It's there in their mind. Sometimes they feel they have communicated it, but the employees do not understand, or they have not heard it in the way that they would like to hear it, right? So it's the transparency and making it in black and white is kind of important. So the performance modules that are there is very important for them to use. Even telling them, saying that for this goal you did, if they say that I've completed 10% of a particular goal for that quarter, it's important to recognize that 10% of the goal and tell them, yes, I've seen that you've completed it, you've done a lot of hard work, I really appreciate what you do. It can be it in a particular day, it can be in a week, it can be in a month. There's a lot of that effort has to be spontaneously recognized. It's That's important for the continuous feedback. So the opportunity for them to just open the technology and say that it's important that I give this feedback and document it over there is very important. It's not like even about like it's like typing an email or sending an appreciation note. Put it on the technology. It's always available as a part of the performance management module. It's there. People can come and see it. The HR can see it. How it is the moment it's hit on the HR technology. And let's say if it is it's there's a kudos card that's given. That's a pat on the back, or different terms, that spot recognition that's given. The moment it's put on a technology, you see people like almost everybody congratulating. Hey, congratulations! I heard you got a spot award. You've done this. Like, when people come and give the feedback, the employee feels really motivated. Continuous feedback is on all the sides, right? You have to give a good feedback, negative feedback. How does the employee also know that they're not doing well? So it's easy to tell them, saying that I need you to improvise. The one word responses is very commonly informed and told. And it's, as a manager, I can assume that my employees understood, and the same way around as well. But there are a lot of gaps that sometimes happen. So it's important for them to try, type it down. The performance management modules, the continuous feedback, there are chats, there are text boxes. Use them, type them out, give them the feedback over there. review it at your review cycle. Don't keep it off the process. If the business reviews are happening, use it a part of the business review cycle, saying that, see, you have given you these feedback. Did you look at the documents? Did you look at the files? I've given all of this. We discussed this. I've put this across. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You've done this great. This is something that you can improvise. Add whatever training aspects. Link it to the core businesses and always frame it. So it's important for employees, like, to feel that the performance management module has data that is actually helping them in the business, and it keeps the manager also using it as a part of their business reviews, not keep it separate as well. So integrate it with the business process, and allow them to give the feedback continuously.
Thank you so much for that, Bharti. As you said, it's important that both, because what happens in a post-pandemic era, especially, right? A lot of us are working remotely. Our managers might be sitting in one place, we might be working from home, or vice versa, right? So in that case, also technology plays a crucial role there. If we have something, if we have like a dashboard or like a great HR employee self service portal, right, where you have this performance plan there, you just click on it, you see that okay, in the starting of the quarter you had these 5 goals, and you keep on updating that as you complete tasks, and you can see, okay, this is the progress that I've been able to make till now, and this is something that I'm yet to achieve. And same is for the manager also, they can easily track, it's like live, you can track the performance of your employee, and you can share real time feedback with them. That is something that really helps, and HR technology has enabled that for us and made it more efficiently, made it more efficient to share feedback these days. Of course, with that, you also talked about kudos and, just sharing, a pat on your shoulder for a great work done. So this is something that would happen generally in a rewards or a recognition ceremony, right? When we recognize somebody in once a quarter. But with this kind of feedback mechanism, which is there, which HR technology has enabled, this, of course, would make things more seamless, provide a seamless employee experience, and the employee would also feel more connected with the manager, with the tasks that they have, and they would also be able to track how much they're contributing to the overall objective of the organization, as you mentioned towards the end. So, thank you for sharing that. Quickly moving on to my next question, which is. I came across a recent Deloitte study that found that 85% of employees expect digital tools for managing their personal data. And I think I would also agree, it's a lot um, easier if we have digital tools to manage our data, right? Otherwise, it's like every day I have to upload a document, share a letter, and it's like email exchanges keep happening. So what are some best practices for enabling employees to manage their data, benefits, and of course we talked about performance, but also keeping the security of it in mind, because there's a lot of digital personal data that we're putting on a platform. So if you could share some insights on that.
Correct. So, yes, I think like digital now has become the era. Even uh, like previously, banking was like a checkbook, right? Now, nobody, even though we say, "Can you get me the check?" but we don't really write a check. We give the credit card or some kind of card to pay, right? But the world has moved. But so digital is something that employees will always expect, and the HR technology has already initiated in that for more than a decade. So when an employee joins, the first thing that we do is basically HRs do is enter all their basic information available on the system. Now it's important basically to have this up to date. That's the first thing that is very important. So as the year employee is in that particular organization for a couple of years, there are a lot of life cycle events that happen for them. There could be like certain basic data changes. He could be promoted. There could be a change in the department, relocation, personal life changes. Everything can happen. And now, how is it? It's important to keep the data up to date, and also not just up to date, right? You have to sync this data with a lot of other technologies where they see a benefit out of it. So let's assume that when there's a parental leave, right? So if the employee comes in and enters the birth of the child, then immediately the parental leave is activated and they're able to use it. So there has to be that the benefit and the need to update the data has to actually be integrated. And nowadays, that's the kind of key where all the HR technologies are working towards. So each module that they touch base on you complete a task in a particular module, you do an update in a module, it is immediately interlinked with another module, and it gives you the required benefits that the employees are allowed to use. So it's important, it's a very important thing. It's just on how the employee experience is more important, the ESS or the self-service that we enable for the employee to enter the data and how they you can use it. So that's one thing that always employees have to look upon, and saying that when I enter the data, when I keep my data up to date, how it's going to be like how does it directly employ for my other benefits and other processes over there. And another thing is, like, of course there's going to be a lot of when we focus on holding data, we're not going to just hold data for the process, for just like, just for, it's not namesake holding data. There's always an output associated with it. It can be linked to the payroll, it can be linked to the statutory requirements, it can be linked to multiple processes that are there. So employees also need to understand why we hold the data over there, what data is required and why we are holding them, and why should they keep it up to date. So if they understand that, then automatically employees, they work towards updating it and making sure it is up to date as well. And the last but the least, of course, data security, right? That's something that everybody is worried. I'm giving my data, is it secured? First, most important thing is we're putting everything on cloud, and people, that's also something that we get worried. But I think HR technology teams have started looking at the organizations have got certifications, they have got recognition how they are the data secure, they are working towards the data security, upgrading a lot of security schemes into their data, making sure it is encrypted, how they are managing the data. It is important for employees to understand that it is secured, what kind of data that they're entering and how it is secured. So they have the visibility of all of this information that is there. They can always look at it. And they also should understand how it is being updated and kept up to date for what processes as well. So it's pretty easy these days using a technology. I think it's not really difficult. They've been trained on the day one when HRs train them to how to update the technology. It is more on basically a process on how you keep it up to date and how you link it with your other benefits and other segments. So employees feel the need to update it, and of course show them and make them feel that, see, listen, these are the security measures that the organization has taken. Your data is safe with us, and this is what we follow. Those things also, it's important for organizations to communicate to their employees.
Sure. Thank you for that, Bharti. And I agree, right? When we talk about benefits, right? Of course, we all want benefits, and if we know that, okay, all these benefits are just present in one space, we could all just go and everything's integrated with the help of HR Tech, and we could just benefit from that. That would really help. And but also, as you said, it's very important to understand where your data is being used as an employee, and it's also crucial that you keep yourself aware that, okay, or because sometimes, of course, it's not related to just your employee data, but whenever we download an app, right, there's this checklist that comes in, and it asks our terms and conditions. And I'm sure 90% of us, we don't see what are the terms and conditions. We just tick mark on it and download the app. So that is sometimes what happens when we don't keep ourselves aware, when we don't keep ourselves informed, when we don't go through the terms and conditions. We do end up sometimes signing up for something which we might not have if we had gone through everything. So it's important that you ask these questions to your HR teams as well, or whenever your organization is integrating something with third party, how your data is being used. And of course, it's important. So thank you for sharing that, Bharti. Now that we're talking about HR technology, I would also want to understand from our audience, a lot of HR professionals, our HR colleagues have joined us, what they feel or what they believe are going to be the tech trends coming into HR in the coming years, or the most, the ones that would make the most difference. So I'm just going to launch another poll, and I would urge everybody to participate and share your responses. So the poll is launched. The question is, which HR technology trend do you believe will have the greatest impact on employee experience in the next year? AI driven personalization, advanced analytics and predictive tools, employee wellness and engagement platforms, or automation of routine HR processes? So 50% of you have already participated. We'll keep it for another 15 seconds and then we'll share the results with you. The rest of you who haven't, please, just select the option that you feel would have the greatest impact. Okay, I will end the poll now and share the result with everybody. Okay, again, a mix, but we do have AI driven personalization getting the maximum votes, 38%. Then we have automation of routine HR processes with 29%. And this is something that we have been seeing, driving change in the way we work today in the HR space. And then we have employee wellness and engagement platforms with 21%, and advanced analytics and predictive tools with 13%. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for sharing, your views, your perspectives on the trend that you feel would have the greatest impact on employee experience. Now, let's hear from Bharti. What you feel would have the greatest impact on employee experience, because there was another report, that I think everybody would agree with us on that, was that. This is a report by PwC that stated with 60% of HR leaders planning to increase investment in HR technology over the next year, what new features or technologies, innovations will shape the employee experience moving forward, according to you? We did see from the audience what they are expecting, but if you could just, share your views on that.
Correct. So I think I also incline towards majority of the responses. AI absolutely is going to be the major change. Whichever segment of the technology it's going to be it HR or be it non-HR, we are seeing it already on a day-to-day lives, right? And from just drafting an email to also sending, creating some kind of presentations, AI upgrades are already there in the basics of what we work. So AI, we will, all of us are going to be like accommodating AI in different aspects. And when we touch base on AI, when we're going to update that AI over there, a lot of automations are going to come in picture. A routine work, I think, will kind of also start disappearing eventually. And that's the focus when we get into AI. So it could be a basic comparison of a particular resume with certain skills that we are trying to look at. For example, already that was initially available, right? So we have tools that basically compare and say that, okay, these are the skills I'm searching for, and this is the resume, and they tell us what's available, not available. But the AI can really pump it up to the next step to tell us, saying that what are the critical skills that you're looking out for, and what kind of percentage is available, how the resume is catered toward the skills that you're looking out for. And also, even like with, let's say, if we put like 10 resumes for a particular job posting, which one is the most preferred one in terms of the skills that we've identified. So AI kind of will do a lot of remove some of the redundant tasks, which is more of looking at the which kind of comes with this entry level of the HRs, which they kind of work in. And it would upgrade even the HR to from doing certain redundant works. They will upgrade the level, they will level up the HR. They become a little more sophisticated, and they'll become more techno friendly in that terms. So AI and automation of the HR, redundant HR processes, or the repetitive tasks, is something that is going to be there. And we are seeing that day by day. Like every technology that we touch base on in the HR world itself, we can see that a meeting, there's an AI notes that comes and does the meeting notes itself. You don't really need to take the notes nowadays. So there's so many things that come in, and we're seeing a lot of companies launching AI as a AI in HR. So they're saying that do your recruitments in this method, do your XYZ in this method. So they're coming up with a lot of AI innovative solutions that can be there. And I understand Great Tip is also working towards a lot of those solutions as well. So AI was going to come in and change how an HR works on technology completely, and not just about HR. It's going to come and change the experience of an employee altogether. So I'm completely inclined towards AI, and I really see that coming. We all are seeing the update day by day. It's not like it happened a year back. It's just yesterday to today you see the difference on how AI is there. So we will also, I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more changes with respect to AI.
Thank you so much for that, Bharti. And I'm certain that a lot of our participants would also agree with you on these points. Okay, let me quickly take one last question before we move on to the audience questions. If you have any questions, you can start putting across in the Q&A option, and we'll take them up very soon. Now, we talked a lot about HR technology and how it's going to change the world of HR and change the experience that we are providing to the employees at the end of the day, right? So, any advice for organizations who are looking to start their journey with HR technology, or revolutionize their employee journey specifically with HR technology, if there's any strategy that they should follow, if do's and don'ts, or any advice basically that you would want to share with them.
So I think it's important for HRs or who are starting the journey or even they're upgrading themselves to the new technologies that are there to start understanding employees' behavior and acceptance of what we are trying to implement, right? As an HR, if I want to implement a new methodology of an onboarding or a new methodology on how they can do certain activities, it's important to understand the culture, the nature of the employees that they have. Today's employees or the people they want to feel wanted. Everybody wants to feel wanted. They do not want to be like a group of people and say that, okay, so we'll just be a part of the group. Everybody wants to feel wanted. So it's important to understand those aspects of it and try to make adaptations to the technology or process so that they feel important, and you will immediately see how the contributions towards the business is. It's very important for us to look around. Technology is going to take a lot of work, support a lot of work and help it automate. So it's going to be give a lot of time for HRs to focus on more important things which technologies cannot do, which is the behavioral aspect of it, the new requirements of employees, the new generation to different generations that are there, what a Gen Z looks at, and what's going to be the Gen Alpha, and what are the millennials and the other generations that are there. What are they looking at? They're very different, right? So it's important to make everybody feel important in the organization. So as we upgrade with the technology, we just don't focus on a generalized process in certain areas. The standardization is important, but what out of the technology should we add in to make every employee feel important is something that we'll have to look up.
Completely agree with you on that, Bharti. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, as you rightly said, it's also very important to look at the organizational objective. What is the objective? That what is the objective that we're trying to achieve with HR technology? So something that is working for one organization might not work for you, and you might have to do some personalizations there. So very valid points. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, this has been an absolute pleasure. A lot of insights, we shared, and all these technologies that are going to already transforming the HR world. Now, so what we are going to do next is take audience questions. We're done with our questions. So I see one question from the audience already. But yes, if there are any questions, start putting them across now, and we will be taking them up. Also, I see one request of echo. So I did check at the back end. If you could maybe try to, leave and join again, it might be fixed from your end also. Okay, thank you so much. Quickly taking the questions now. So the first question is, does HR tech mean HRMS platforms, or is it more?
So HR technology, I purposely didn't go specific to a particular platform or particular module because it's all technologies that we will be using to support the HR. So it's just not a single platform with multiple modules. It could be multiple platforms or multiple modules. Everything that an HR is will be using to support or automate or support upgrade their HR processes.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I hope that answers the question. I don't see any more questions. I'm sure the webinar was very, very helpful for all of you. But let's make it more conversational. Ask away any question that you have, and we would be happy to, take those and have more deeper discussions. If there's any feedback also, or if there's any anecdote or an experience that you had using, HR technology and the way it transformed for your organization, please feel free to share that as well. We are here. We're waiting for more questions from your end. In the meantime, Bharti, if you would like to share, something that wasn't, HR tech, as you said, technology has been here, for a long, long time. It's not just after the pandemic that it's come into picture. Yes, more conversations are happening now. We see more of these webinars happening on HR tech, the role of artificial intelligence in HR, the role of automation, machine learning, right? So, if you had to, maybe uh, uh, give us like a description of the main changes that happened af- after the pandemic. Of course, technology was there before also, but maybe we have seen more acceptance from the organizations to start investing in HR tech now. So, if you could just maybe share some experience or any insights on that with us.
Correct. So I think, like, the pandemic taught us a lot of learnings, right? The 2 3 years where we overnight, like, everybody had to, most of us had to upgrade towards like a pure technology style of working. Though people work with laptops and people did use technologies, there were chat systems. Zoom had already been there. Like, there were a lot of online virtual callings that we could. But that particular period, it became very critical for everybody to quickly upgrade their processes into the technology side. And that thing, like, drove HR technology at a very different level. The acceptance and the adaptation happened much faster than how it could have happened over a particular period. So it was important for them to just have basic information of just telling the clocking and the number of hours that they worked, or whether they were working that day, they were available for work, or they're not available for work. Those basic information is just a leave and time management, right? So even those basic information, which was kind of a little bit of hectic for the employees to come in and do it, it became mandate for them to do it, to understand that people are working, they're not available, to understand the availability of resources and all. So it was a huge pump up for the employees, for the organizations to adapt. And it was important, like, a lot of people joined, a lot of people had moved to different departments, there were a lot of upgrades happening. So how do you see all of that? Before you walk into the office, it was very easy for us to understand. There would be people having the data in Excel files probably, or different sheets probably. But then at this particular stage, it became kind of difficult, like, get everything in a single place. Let's start using that HR technology as the only source of truth. So don't share any Excel files. I cannot read so many emails, put everything up to date. So it started pushing all the employees and the managers and the management to start using HR technology. And it started triggering the more importance of doing it, and how much of time that they could have also saved, they could start saving when they start using the HR technology. Be it the performance, be it any module aspect of any area of it. The pandemic was just a boost for it. We were going towards it, but I think it just, it was a catalyst to make it faster.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Bharti. Now, I already see a lot of questions lined up, so we'll quickly take those also. So, there's one question. What are the top three processes that a company should target to automate end to end when they start their automation journey?
Okay, so the top three processes. Okay, the first important is the employee experience. The day that they join, it that should be kind of automated end to end. They should not feel like that is, like, not automated. So that's the experience that you can see how much of a technology based company that we are. And the second thing also is the query management, the help desk, right? Majority of the grievances or the issues is like, I want to ask the HR, but I do not know how to reach them. If you automate that, it becomes really easy and important for them. It saves a lot of time for the employees as well as the HR. So that's something that we can be automated at a very a quicker level, and also it can help a lot of grievance to reduce. So that's one thing. And the third one is basically the separation or the termination process. See, when the employee leaves a company, right, they are the brand ambassadors of your company. Tomorrow, they're going to go out and talk about your company or the company that they worked in. So it's important to make sure it's automated and they feel like, oh, I did resign, but then in my previous company it was in such a level, the technology HR was at such a level. So you give them a vibe and you keep them saying that how things are much easier for them. They don't need to keep running after small queries on how to do this, will you handle this, how is this going to happen. They just need to focus on transitioning the job to the new employee or the who's going to take the handover, and they do not worry about the termination process in terms of the settlements and other activities.
Thank you for sharing that, Bharti. I hope that answers the question for you. The next question is from Nandana. Will artificial intelligence replace HR opportunities in the future?
Okay, so that's like I think everybody's question, right? So is AI going to replace our jobs? It's not. It will not replace jobs. I mean, it's going to boost the type of job that we are working in. Previously, what used to happen, like let's say without technology, how did HR do their job? They used to print papers, keep the papers, use everything in papers, ask employee to fill papers. Today, what we're telling them is sending them the link, fill it in the link, update the data in the link, use the link, right? So it is just changing the style of how we are working. It's going to upgrade the process in a very different level. It's going to give all of us a lot of time to focus on elements that are important, and where we keep saying that now employees' wellness is important, employees' well-being is important. Look at how they feel. Is managers able to handle the team size, etc., which is more involved to the emotions, that category. So HR will stop looking at doing transactions and certain data entry kind of work, and they kind of work towards the well-being and how an organization's culture is going to be set up. So it's completely going to be a different picturization of how we move towards with artificial intelligence.
Thank you for that, Bharti. Moving on to the next question from Apurva. What KPIs should HR teams track to measure the effectiveness of their performance?
Employee satisfaction, I think that's very important for us to track, because end of the day, whatever we do is to make sure the employees are happy, right? So it's important to track how satisfied and happy the employees are. That's the most critical item that we have to track. And there are, depending upon the kind of process or the area that the HR is working, if they're part of the compensation team, it's going to be a little different. If they're part of the performance management team, it's going to be different. Or if they're going to be a HR ops person, it's going to be different. So depending upon that particular process, when you frame the process, there are critical indicators that should be set. And then and always it should be linked towards the employee satisfaction. That's something that we have to always see. And as well as the business growth, that's also important. So employee satisfaction and business growth, these two things are direct implications of how HR is able to perform their job.
Thank you for that, Bharti. I do agree with you on the employee satisfaction score report, right? Because when we say in organizations, one critical factor is customer satisfaction score. For organizations or specifically for HR teams, it's employee satisfaction, score, which is very important. So thank you for highlighting that. Moving on to the next question from Syed. So I'll read what they've shared. Hi, it's great connecting here. Okay, so I think the other person is asking the question. Pushpa Sharma, working as an HR executive. I feel the HR portal has made work easier. The only thing what I will be having to do is monitor the portal. So my question is, where does the future of HR stand if everything is done or specialized by the tool itself, like something similar to artificial intelligence?
Correct. I think like so when we are monitoring the portal, right? So I think what you will be trying to do is to see if the required information, approvals, the stall workflows, uh, the couple of those actions are completed. Now, when slowly as the upgrade happens in the technology, you start working towards how to upgrade it to make all of these monitoring activities easier. So it's not going to be that only monitoring is the only activity, right? There's going to be upgrades to the activity. So how do you get the monitoring automated? So you're going to go to the next stage of it and how to work on saying, okay, these aspects of it, I think there's a lag on how employees are using it. Let's upgrade it. So there's going to be a change on how you start specializing and how the future of your role is actually going to play. And it's going to be very different and very innovative technically.
Thank you for sharing that, Bharti. I hope that answers the question for you, Pushpa. Moving on to the next question, the last question from Asha. So, this is the last question that we can see. If there are any more questions, you can type it now. Otherwise, we are happy to take it offline also. So, the question from Asha is HR tech eases our job, but the most challenging thing is to ensure the employees are using it. How do we ensure that?
So it's that's the most important work going to be of HRs nowadays. So we implement the technology and we are expecting employees to use it. Now the question always is like, why are they not using it? We need to understand what's happening in the ground reality of where they're not using it. A simple thing could really hamper the employee's experience. So let's say if it's nowadays the number of logins that we have a login for our personal email ID, for another email ID. I have three personal email IDs, and I have my bank account logins, etc., etc., etc. Right? Same thing happens in the business also. When the employee is doing their job, they might have to log in into five, six portals, and they have to remember several types of login methods. How do you ease that one particular problem? Get in a single sign-on done. There are easy answers. It's available on the net to see some of the answers. So first thing is we have to understand that from the basic step of even integrating it, making it a single sign-on, which is the most critical. When if you make that, then it becomes easy for them to log in, and then you allow them to use the tool easily. And then what are they supposed to do? We ask them to use the technology, but what are they supposed to do in the technology? What are we expecting out of it? Where is it benefiting them? This is something that they need to understand on a day-to-day basis. If and it has to connect with the business, if that's important. So understand what's happening in the employee level, understand what the employees are doing, what is the experience happening, get a feedback on certain aspects that you think is not being automated, right? They're not using it. If you feel, what areas do you feel that they're not using it? Try to throw a feedback and get a feedback and see. Walk up to employees and just talk and see what's happening over there. So when you understand that, it will give you clues on saying, okay, then we need to give them this knowledge, or we need to upgrade this processes, we have to change this strategy. So when you understand that, then you will make sure you will see the HR technology adoption at a very different rate.
Thank you for that, Bharti. A perfect answer, I must say. And this is what happens, right? We do tell them, okay, this is the technology, we have this integrated. All of that is there, right? Until we train them, until we keep taking their feedback on either improving the processes or giving them more training, or helping them with more modules. I think that would help us, bridge this gap that we often see when it comes to employees using HR tech themselves. So thank you so much for sharing that. Great conversation that we had today. A lot of insights on HR technology and the way technology has completely transformed the way we work today, and of course a lot of its impact on employee experience. Uh, because I think when it comes to HR tech, employees are the users, right? Employees are the main users, so we have to give them the best customer support there. And with the HR technology and the innovations that we are seeing in HR technology is making things better, easier, more efficient for employees as well as the employers and organizations at the end. So thank you for that, Bharti. Great conversation. I hope you enjoyed the session as well, and I hope the participants also found it very useful. I did see a lot of participation. We saw some questions coming in. So that was great. Thank you for being an attentive audience, and thank you for making it more successful. Now, if you have still any more questions, or you would like to connect with us offline, you could do that. We have a Great Web community, which is a knowledge sharing platform. It's a free community where you can sign up, and we have over 9,000 HR and payroll experts who can help you with any specific queries you have on, say, HR, technology, HR innovation, tax, compliance. You can just sign up to this community and have your queries answered. And also, as promised in the beginning, the session is being recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording with all of you. We're also present on WhatsApp. This is the QR code on your screen. You can scan the QR code and you can connect with us on WhatsApp for quicker assistance with customer support, inquiries, promotions, or webinar updates as such. So, thank you once again, everybody, for being a part of this session today. And thank you so much, Bharti, for being a wonderful guest.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. So we'll see you all, our participants, in the next webinar, which is planned on 17th December. The topic would be proof of investment submission, because the season is starting, right? So we'll be sharing the registration link with all of you. Please ensure that you register for that session and gain insights from that as well. Thank you so much once again, everybody, and thank you so much, Bharti.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.